Anson Jones was, and remains, a hard man to fathom. A native of Great Barrington, Massachusetts, he came to Texas in 1833. A physician by profession, he served as Sam Houston's Secretary of State and was the fourth and final president of the Texas Republic. No one worked harder or more deftly to achieve union with the United States, and scholars justly remember him as the architect of annexation. But when he completed his presidential term, the people of Texas discounted him. In the words of his biographer, for 12 years, Jones brooded over his neglect and became increasingly moody and introspective. Disregarded and unappreciated, Jones viewed himself as a failure. Following Thomas J. Rusk's 1857 suicide, he had reason to hope that the state legislature might at last designate him U.S. Senator. He received not a single vote. This final indignity was more than he could bear. On January 9, 1858, he passed a bullet through his brain. He had once written,
"I trust truth will ultimately prevail and posterity judge me correctly."
In his last moments, Anson Jones determined it had not, and probably never would. But Jones was no failure. Houston's second administration ended before his machinations could bear fruit. Once again, he had to step away from the presidency. But Jones, who assumed the office on December 9, 1844, continued to correspond with annexation advocates in the United States. Although he was in Houston's camp, Jones did not always agree with his predecessor's policies and sought to plot an independent path. In the United States, a new mood was sweeping the nation. The allure of manifest destiny greatly influenced the election of 1844. Three candidates sought the executive office. Henry Clay, a Whig, claimed to support Texas annexation unless such actions led to war with Mexico. He was totally disingenuous. Mexican diplomats had stated repeatedly that if Texas joined the United States, they would declare war. So Clay did not, in reality, support annexation. James G. Birney, an abolitionist and nominee of the Liberty Party, opposed the admission of Texas in any way, shape, or form. Democrat James K. Polk was the only candidate who was forthright in his support of expansion and Texas annexation. When Americans cast their votes, Polk won by a wide margin. His victory rekindled annexation prospects. With Polk's election, events unfolded quickly. Now that manifest destiny had captured the national imagination, John Tyler, the lame duck president, wished to seize the moment and achieve annexation on his watch. He pitched the notion to Polk, who agreed. The president-elect just wanted Texas in the Union. He did not care who took credit. Having previously failed to annex Texas by treaty, too many abolitionists and Northerners had opposed the measure, Tyler resorted to admission by joint resolution of Congress. This approach required a simple majority in both houses instead of the two-thirds vote in the Senate. On January 25, 1845, the House endorsed the annexation proposal. The Senate followed suit on February 26th. After a long and rancorous process, Tyler signed the resolution and dispatched it to Texas. The pro-annexation forces had cleared the path for admission. All that remained was Texian acceptance of the offer, which most considered a foregone conclusion. When President Jones did not immediately accept the proposal, Washington observers found themselves bewildered. Having been rebuffed on so many occasions, were Texians now playing coy? No, Mexican officials had fundamentally altered the political landscape with an offer of formal recognition of Texas independence and a lucrative trade agreement. The deal was contingent, however, on Texians not joining the United States. Mexican politicians finally came to understand that it was preferable to have the weak and ineffectual Texas Republic as their northern neighbor, if the alternative was the brawny and expansionist United States. Many Texians wished to accept the Mexican offer and retain their sovereignty. Jones was a nationalist, but offered to submit both proposals to the Texas Congress. Meeting in Austin on July 4, 1845, the date was not coincidental, the convention overwhelmingly approved Tyler's annexation resolution. Given their agonizing history with their southern neighbor, Texians had little confidence in Mexican promises. On December 29, 1845, President Polk signed the Bill of Formal Admission, but Republic officials were to remain in office until February. As Jones accurately recorded,
I had a difficult task to perform to secure success to this great measure by exciting the rivalry and jealousy of the three greatest powers in the world, and at the same time so act as to effect my object and to maintain the perfect good faith of Texas towards all these powers.
on February 19, 1846, in a formal ceremony in Austin, President Jones transferred control of the government to the newly elected state governor, James Pinckney Henderson. Hundreds of officials and citizens attended the procedure. In a prepared address, Jones spoke to the assembled throng.
The Lone Star of Texas, which 10 years since arose amid clouds over fields of carnage and obscurely shone for a while, has culminated and, following an inscrutable destiny, has passed on and become fixed forever in that glorious constellation which all freemen and lovers of freedom in the world must reverence and adore, the American Union. Blending its rays with its sister stars, long may it continue to shine, and may a gracious heaven smile upon this consummation of the wishes of the two republics, now joined together in one.
He ended with a flourish.
The final act in this great drama is now performed. The Republic of Texas is no more.
With that, Jones strode toward two flagpoles erected for the occasion. One flew the Lone Star banner, the other was empty. As he hauled down the standard of Texas nationhood, something incredible occurred. The shaft from which it had flown snapped in two. People gasped at the omen. Recovering himself following the uncanny accident, the former president ran up the stars and stripes on the remaining staff. The experiment in nationhood was a heroic failure, but nonetheless a failure. When Texas joined the Union, one could almost perceive a collective sigh of relief. San Antonio matron Mary Maverick spoke for the majority of her fellow citizens.
Thank God we are now annexed to the United States and can hope for home and quiet.
But some diehards, Texas always had its share of those, believed their neighbors had been too eager to surrender their national sovereignty. As he looked back on his life, the old Indian fighter Robert Hall regarded the years of the Texas Republic as his happiest and viewed statehood as a mistake. He spoke for many old warriors of his generation.
I was opposed to annexation and voted first, last, and all time for the Lone Star.